Back in South Africa, the Gauteng government says that it has reached an agreement with the families of the Life Esidimeni victims and will start with the payouts soon. About 300 family members affected by the Life Esidimeni tragedy sought legal advice earlier this month after government failed to process those payments. Well, for more on the Life Esidimeni Consensus, we are now joined on the line by a Gauteng government spokesperson, Mr. Thabo Masebe. Very good evening to you, sir. We thank you very much for your time. Well, a week ago, we saw those scenes coming outside from the department. We saw angry claimants marching outside the offices, where government, of course, then cited outstanding documentation and technicalities that still needed to be sorted out. So take us on what basis was this consensus reached?
Well, first of all, let me remind you that the problem was created by us as government, because we were eager to settle the payment quickly. So we had looked at some of the legal processes that would have been required before the actual payment is made. And that is why we had given ourselves a target of the 10th of December to settle all the claims. But we were then made aware that we couldn't do so until the master of the court had given the claimant authority to represent the mental health care users on whose behalf the claims were being made. So we now agree with everybody that we have to go through this process. And we have, before we had this meeting with the families yesterday, we also had a meeting with the representatives of the Master of the High Court, where we discussed with them the process, and they assured us that they would actually give this matter priority. So they will make available officials who will work with us and the families to ensure that the process is we go through this process without any further delay. We expect that by sometime in January, we will get together with the Master of the High Court and the family and look at all the documentation that is required. And soon thereafter, we will be in a position to make the bulk of the payment.
All right, so you're not confirming now necessarily when exactly that payment will be made, or those payments will be made. Government is not putting a deadline. Are you now communicating with the claimants? We understand that one of the issues with regards to that 10th of December deadline was the fact that they said that government was not communicating with them openly and honestly with transparency.
Well, we now communicate. We've undertaken to meet regularly with the representatives of the families. So there's a small committee that has been set up by representatives of the families and government. So we will meet regularly to assess progress. And let me just repeat, there was no deadline of the 10th of December. Because if you say deadline, technically speaking, we mean that as soon as you reach the deadline, it means you are no longer able to follow through with the action.
That was the deadline. That was the deadline that the Gauteng government had initially said on camera, had said that that was the deadline that they had put, and then on record went on later and said, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to meet that target deadline.
No, a target date that we had set for ourselves to start paying, which obviously was not possible. But now that it is clear what process needs to be undertaken, we are working with the Master of the High Court. And in fact, some of the claimants have already received their authorization from the High Court, and they've opened their bank accounts, and we have started processing their payments. So some of the claimants will receive money this year, but the bulk of them will receive money in January next year once they've gone through the verification process, which will be done by the Master of the High Court.
Thank you very much for giving us some clarity on that. The Life Esidimeni Consensus, that was a Gauteng government spokesperson, Mr. Thabo Masebe.